Election Petition Court releases judgment copies after Atiku's protest. Yeah, actually, because they have 14 days to appeal this judgment in the Supreme Court, the petition court wanted to, or the tribunal wanted to withhold the judgment report so as to frustrate both Labour Party and PDP from appealing the case. But I know they had to protest. Both Peter Obi and Atiku had to shout out and raise alarm. Now, what we're hearing is that the document has been released. But it's quite unfortunate because even the Supreme Court is not going to give any contrary judgment. We know that. And Supreme Court is not going to listen to any lawyer to come and say anything. They are going to read through the judgment to pick holes from the judgment and make corrections and reverse what must have been wrongly pronounced. That is what they are going to do. But I tell you, who is in the Supreme Court? Is it not, what is his name? Justice Ariwola? The person that is working for Tinubu is there. So who put the tribunal panel together? It's not the same supreme. It's not the Chief Justice of the Federation. That's the Chief Justice Ariwola. Is the person that put the tribunal together. Is the person that put the appeal court team together. So he's the person that will also oversee the activities of the Supreme Court. So we're not going to get any otherwise judgment. The only thing that's going to happen here is that, it's just going to be on record that the judgment had been followed through up to the Supreme Court and then rested there. Nigeria is already buried for life, except if God comes down from heaven to help Nigeria or raise some forces that we don't know yet to deliver Nigeria. But as far as political matters, governance is concerned, Nigeria is finished. No need to talk about it again. Okay, so now that they have released the copies of those documents, I think both Labour Party and PDP can now prepare their document and file the appeal in the Supreme Court as fast as possible to meet up with the 14 days requirement. So let's see what Atiku has to say. The Presidential Election Petition Court has released a copy of its judgment in which it affirmed the election of President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday. The Court of Appeal hosting the election court released the 798-page document yesterday, a few hours after the People Democratic Party presidential candidate and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar had raised the alarm that the court was yet to provide its lawyers and those of PDP certified true copies of the judgment. Leadership weekend checks revealed that soon after it was released, copies of the judgment went viral on social media, with the members of the WhatsApp groups posting it on their various platforms. Earlier yesterday, Atiku had said it was anti-democratic that 3 days since the Presidential Election Petition Court delivered its judgment on his petition challenging the outcome of the February 25 presidential election, his lawyers cannot access the copies. He added that the situation is concerning in light of the fact that he and his lawyers have just 14 days to file their appeal to the Supreme Court on the judgment. A statement issued by his Special Assistant on Public Communications, Frank Shaibu, to this effect noted, by not making available to Atiku Abubakar, presidential candidate of the PDP, the certified true copies of the judgment of Wednesdays for his filings at the Supreme Court, the Presidential Election Petition Court is undermining Atiku's and Nigeria's quest for justice. Expressing Atiku's and PDP's frustration in progressing with the filing of their appeal at the Supreme Court, Shaibu reminded the PEPC that it had made heavy weather, at the delivery of its judgment on Wednesday, that parties need to adhere strictly to the time schedule set by the court. He said the PEPC is not oblivious, that 3 precious days of the 14 days limit for parties to file their processes at the highest court have been wasted by the appeal court. When We wish to remind the Presidential Election Petition Court that it struck out the testimonies of some of the witnesses of Atiku during the litigation at the court of first instance because their statements on oath were filed out of time. And now, from all intents and purposes, the same court wants to have Atiku and PDP's appeal to the Supreme Court disqualified by the reason of time deadline. Does the Presidential Election Petition Court not understand that the lawyers representing Atiku and PDP need to digest the judgment as contained in the CTC, which represents the authentic pronouncement, certified true copy, which represents the authentic pronouncements made in the court on Wednesday in order to formulate its case for filing? Shall be queried. He said further that there can be no justification for refusal of the court to make available the CTC of his judgment or certified true copy of his judgment for Atiku to continue with his quest on behalf of over 2 million Nigerians for substantial justice as opposed to the judgment rendered by the petition court. It is curious that the same petition court that claimed that the judgment was ready as at the time it was delivered on Wednesday is still grappling with typos and errors according to available information. Why did the petition court not wait till next week to deliver the judgment, as it would still have met the legal deadline, instead of rushing to render a judgment which test is still undergoing panel beating? It is anti-democratic of the court to still, already at the last count, 3 precious days out of the 14 days time limit for Atiku to file his processes at the Supreme Court. The lost time will never be recovered, he added. So the problem here is that they know what they are doing. They are all orchestrated effort, concerted effort to do what they are doing. It's a deliberate move to frustrate all the lawyers, to frustrate all other political parties. It's quite unfortunate that what they are doing is tactically killing other parties. The judiciary in Nigeria has become partisan. That is how bad it is. I don't think there's anything anybody is going to say that will shape this country for now. Let the PDP and the Labour Party just follow through to the Supreme Court. That is just it. And document it that they have followed the case to the Supreme Court and have a copy of all of this judgment for future references. That is what is going to happen. Nigeria is, I don't know how to explain it. Nigeria is beast. With the crop of leaders that we have, with the crop of politicians in place, with the state of judiciary now, sorry, Nigeria is finished. And this is exactly what the Western world wants, because the Western world is interested in Africa that is dying so that they can continue to loot the resources of Africa. If not, there's no reason why they will say they have a United Nations and the United Nations cannot come and tell each country that what they are doing is bad. The ECOWAS and EU are there. They will not say your election was bad. They will not come and say the truth. But once there's a coup now, you see them rushing to say the coup is not allowed. You see the rhetorics that the worst democratic rule is better than the best military rule. Who told you? Who told you? We have seen that though the military is corrupt, but the politicians and the democracy is more corrupt than the military. That is what we have seen. So all the democracy that are preaching is rubbish. As far as I'm concerned, Africa is not matured enough to implement and administer democracy. They don't have it. That is the truth. It's quite unfortunate that we're where we are. There's no difference between the kind of democratic rule we're having now and what we had in the military era. There's no difference. There is no difference. It's unfortunate. So thank you for listening. Let's have your comment. This is what is coming now, that the Presidential Election Petition Court has finally released the certified true copies of the judgment on Wednesday to Atiku and his lawyers to use, to digest it, formulate their case, and then file an appeal with the Supreme Court within 14 days. And already the petition court, the tribunal has taken away 3 days by delaying the release of the certified true copy of the judgment. But it's okay. The guys will have to rush up to meet up with time and file their appeal at the Supreme Court. And I hope that Labour Party and its lawyers too would have had this certified true copy as well, for them to also formulate their own case to the Supreme Court. So thank you for listening, and let's have your comment.